Welcome, everyone. I'm Lauren. I don't know that I need to introduce the lady next to me, Sharon Schach, who is also my mother. So for those of you who don't know, Sharon moved to Australia about 11 years ago, and to be here with her grandchildren, and I guess myself as well. And it's really settled in beautifully in Australia. She used to be a pediatric radiologist by trade, but her hobby has always been cooking, and it comes from many long lines of cooks within our family. I can see some actually on the call today. So just wanted to welcome you. We have some wonderful recipes to share, and I'm actually looking forward to tasting them a little bit later. So I feel sorry for the rest of you, but you're going to get the recipes. So welcome and enjoy.
Right, lovely. Well, welcome everybody. It's so fantastic to see all of you, and especially all our friends here in Sydney, and then overseas, the Nashville gang, the Baltimore gang, the Cleveland gang. Really, it's just absolutely wonderful to see all of you here. What I'm going to be doing is 4 dishes. 2 of them are very short and quick, and then 2 of them are a little longer. You will be getting the recipes next week, so there's no need to try and make notes or anything. We'll email you the recipes next week. So, speak of you? Oh, yeah. If you could all go onto speak of you, then you'll see me in the center of the screen, and it'll be much easier for you to see what I'm doing. So, the first thing I'm going to be making is a yogurt and berry parfait. This is a fabulous berry dish which you can have either for breakfast or you can have it as a dessert. We've done it for both, and it's wonderful. So what you start with is a couple of cups of mixed berries. I've got strawberries here, blueberries, and raspberries. And what you do is...
So I think someone is screen sharing. There we go. Okay.
What you do is you pour over a 1/4 cup of maple syrup and a teaspoon of balsamic vinegar.
I'm hungry.
And put the lid on.
We're on mute.
Push it all around like that. Easy way of stirring. And you let that sit while we're doing the rest of the dish. So the rest of the dish is, we take vanilla yogurt.
Oh, wait, sorry, we missed the beginning. That's what we're making. So we're still getting used to this.
So what I have here is 2 170-gram punnets of vanilla yogurt. So that is a total of 340 grams of vanilla yogurt, which we pop into our bowl. Now, you're going to add an equal quantity of something else, and it's up to you what you want to add. The original recipe that I found years ago on the net said ricotta cheese. I don't particularly like the mouthfeel of raw ricotta. I'm fine with it in baked goods, but I don't like it. So what I have started using is labneh, and I make my own labneh. It's very easy to do. It's the Middle Eastern cheese, which is basically drained yogurt. So what I did last night was I took a strainer, lined it with some paper towel, and dumped into it a kilo of Greek yogurt. Leave it in the fridge overnight, and what happens is that all this whey drains out. There are people who say that this is wonderful and healthy and full of protein and you should drink it. I couldn't possibly do that. It looks too gross. So we're going to dispose of that and pop the labneh into this bowl without spilling any of it. Whoops. There we go. Okay. Sorry, just got to wash this with your hand. Okay. Now, what we're going to do is turn on the scale, put our yogurt there, tear it. So we had 340 grams of the yogurt. So I'm going to pop in 340 grams of the labneh. And you can see, I just want to show you how beautiful and creamy it is. It's absolutely wonderful. And because it's Greek yogurt, it's got that lovely sort of little bit of a sourish taste. There we go. Lovely. Off these. Really, really easy, 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 easy. And is beautifully smooth now. And believe it or not, this dish is now ready to plate. Now, I have these dishes, and I think my sisters who are watching will recognize them. These bowls are very retro. They're retro because they are 70 years old. Get a bit verklempt here, but my parents got them for a wedding present, and next month that would have been 70 years ago. They had a dozen, there are 3 left, and it just warms my heart to be able to use them. So, here's what we're going to do. We will spoon some of the yogurt mix into each bowl, like that. Then we will spoon some of the fruit and those lovely maple syrup juices over. Now some more yogurt.
Just while we're here, I don't know if you guys are following the chat, but Ruth, hi Ruthie, has said just about the whey, that the whey can be used instead of water when called for in baking. So that's a nice way to, yeah, it's a nice way
Thanks, my
to.
friend. You know, you're always sharing recipes with me. So here we go. And some more fruit. And maybe another little, this is very much do whatever takes your fancy. And then once you've got all of that, you take some granola. I make my own granola, but you can use any bought granola. Sprinkle that on top. And just to be very fancy schmancy, we'll put a little mint leaf there. And voila! Beautiful. Now let's just, Lauren is going to take some pictures so that we can get these attached to the recipe. And, oh, yummy. Now, I don't know how many of you know, I know the Americans do, and a lot of the Australians do as well. There's the chef in America called Ina Garten. She's also known as the Barefoot Contessa. And Ina Garten does lots, she's got about 7 or 8 cookbooks, and she also does TV shows. Well, her husband is called Jeffrey, and Jeffrey tastes all her recipes on her TV shows. Well, I have a husband called Steve, and he told me that he always wants to be Jeffrey. So, Steve, Jeffrey, could you come by here? And here is Steve, and
Sharon, are we ready?
I think we are ready.
Okay.
Sharon, someone has asked you, what is this dish called?
it is called yogurt and berry parfait.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
What's it taste?
This is outstanding. Now,
Thanks.
nothing
Thank
to
you.
tell
Thank
that
you.
I'm going to take it away with me and finish it off because
You can.
no way should this be left for any purpose other than immediate consumption. Delicious.
Okay, so that took all of 5 or 10 minutes, and now my kitchen help is clearing the decks. before we start the next recipe, I just wanted to share my thoughts about sharing, actually. I have always been a believer in sharing recipes. I think that as people, as human beings, we communicate so much with food. We sit around tables together. We feed people. We love to be fed by people, and I will always share my recipes. What happened this really about, this is making me very old. I won't say how long ago it was, but when I was in medical school, one year it was a party and everybody brought a dish to this party, and one of the women who was in my class brought a chocolate cake. Well, this was a truly fabulous chocolate cake. And I said to her, I would love to have the recipe. Can you give it to me, please? And she said, no, I don't share recipes. And I thought to myself at that moment that will never be me. I will share every recipe that I have, wherever I get it from. The only time I will not share a recipe is if somebody shares it with me and asks me not to. And I respect that. But the rest of the recipes in this broadcast were all shared with me by a friend who's on here today. Her name is Ruthie Hodges, and she's in Philadelphia. After I'm going to put this particular dish together, and then I will tell you the story.
And she's waving at you. No sound, no sound.
A soup. It's called cascadilla. Lauren, you want to put the cascadilla, and this is really, really easy as well. Can you see my blender here? Is it in the picture? Yes. Okay. So what we do is we start off with a liter of tomato juice, and you put half of that into your blender, approximately half. There we go. You don't want to put too much in, because when you turn the blender on, you don't want it all shooting out of the top. You then add a cup of either yogurt or sour cream. I happen to have sour cream in this one. And if you wanted, you could, if anybody in your family is lactose intolerant, you could do lactose-free sour cream. You can do low-fat sour cream if you prefer. It's a very forgiving recipe. You add a teaspoon of honey. And this honey was given to us by the Great Synagogue. Thank you. And we will add about a teaspoon there. That was a Rosh Hashanah gift from the shul, which we're now using on Shavuot, because we had lots of honey on Rosh Hashanah. There we go. That's the honey. And a clove of garlic. Lovely big juicy clove. I'm actually going to cut this one up into a few pieces so that it's easier for it to blend properly. Then, one medium cucumber. We use the Lebanese cucumbers here. The ones that I got were a little small, so I used 1.5. In that goes. 1 spring onion chopped up. See, I did all this prep before, so you don't have to watch me. There's a sorry, the phone. Sorry about that. So let's see, we've got the cucumber, the green pepper, the onion, the garlic, the honey, the tomato juice, yogurt or sour cream, and some salt and pepper to taste. I'll just pop a little bit in now. And grind some pepper in. There we go. And on with it now. Sorry if it's making a little noise.
There's a message for you, Sharon, from Linda Scott.
Wow. Okay, sorry about that noise, but that is blended. What we do is we will add this back into the jug with the remainder of the tomato juice. Give it a stir. It's actually a little bit more there. And that is the soup. Now, what I'm going to do is just taste this to see if it needs any more salt or pepper or anything. Oh, that's wonderful. Great. So, time to plate up. Into the bowl. There's one. Jeffrey here is getting really excited all over again. There. And you can garnish it however you want. What Ruthie does, who gave me the recipe, a few slices of mushroom, which is beautiful. You can also do a little bit of a swirl of sour cream. There. And then I made a little bit of a tomato and cucumber salsa. And you can pop those on top. And the tomato there for the color. And that is cascadilla.
Beautiful.
I would love to.
So before we let Jeffrey Steve have his taste, Lauren will take a photo, so these will appear on your recipes that you're going to get.
Oh, beautiful. All right. Okay, Steve, here you go.
Which one do you want me to taste?
Either, you
Well,
choose.
this is nearest, so I don't want to waste any time. Probably. Wow.
Louder, talk louder.
I can't talk louder, my mouth is full.
Sharon, a couple of messages for you.
Yes.
One from Linda, who says, thank you for sharing your moussaka recipe. We made it 2 nights ago, and Sharon's Perfect Moussaka is the perfect title.
Oh, thanks, Linda.
And then there's another message for you from Ruth, who says, it takes longer to purchase the ingredients than to make the soup.
Absolutely, absolutely. No question about that. So while we're talking about Ruth, this is the story that I wanted to tell you. About 25 years ago, we're talking 1995, it is 25 years ago, I was required to take some radiology exams. I was already working in the hospital, so I used to go to the library to study. And the librarian there showed me the internet. I had never done the internet before. Anyway, he showed me how you can search. In those days, it wasn't Google. I think it might have been something like, what was it called, Steve? Anyway, it was a search, Alta Vista. It was a search engine. And he showed me that you can search for things, and this was absolutely amazing. And the first word I searched for, believe it or not, was compost. I have no idea why I chose the word compost, but I got lots and lots and lots of hits on compost, and I realized I wasn't interested in any of them. So I thought, let's search on something that I am actually interested in, and I put in the word kugel. And I could not believe how many hits I got on the word kugel. And through that, I eventually landed up on a Jewish cooking group on the internet. And one of the people on this group was a lady called Ruthie, who is right here with us today. And we kind of got chatting, and at one point she had posted a recipe for Danish herring, I believe it was, and I said, oh, you know, this you're really taking me back now, because we didn't really do it much in Nashville. And we got to be friends, and a correspondence ensued. And 4 years later, in 1999, we went to Israel. We were in Israel for Shavuot, and Ruthie had us over to her home for a Shavuot lunch, a dairy Shavuot lunch. Now, mark you, this is somebody I'd never met in real life before. We laughed about being axe murderers. But we had the most wonderful lunch with Ruthie and her family. The cascabia was what she served, plus these other dishes that I'm going to demonstrate to you now. So the next dish that I'm going to do is a dairy Lokschenkugel. I'm going to do it with a bit of a difference, with apologies to Ruthie, and you'll see the difference. But let's get going with that. Now, the very first thing that I have to do is get the noodles started. So in Australia, I don't get the exact kind of noodles that we used to use in the States. They were a flat noodle that we got there, but it was somehow, it was curlier. Anyway, what I found in Australia is there's this one, happens luckily to be kosher as well, the San Remo egg pasta, the tagliatelle. And it comes in a little nest like that. And what I do, and I've done it here already, is I just squeeze the nest and they all break up, and there you go. So there are our noodles, and I'm going to put those into the pot to cook. I've got some boiling salted water down here, and I'll put these in to cook for about 8 minutes. Okay, so the noodles are in. Now, this kugel, eventually, when it's all mixed up, you can put, and the traditional way, into a rectangular dish. You sprinkle with cinnamon and sugar, and you bake it. I'm adding a little something to it, and that is, I like to do it as an apple upside down kugel. So what I have here, this is my tartane dish, and you can see it's worn and very well loved. It's supposed to be for apple tart tartare. I line it with a piece of baking paper and give it a bit of a spritz here with some baking spray, and just on that, I'm just going to melt my butter. Now, I'm going to show you how I do the apples. I know that there is somebody who's watching here who knows this kids love very well, and that is my friend Sharon Schach. This is an apple peeler. I have done most of the apples already, but I'm going to do one just to show you how this works, and it really is quite cute. You take your apple, push it on there, and here we go. What this has done is that it has peeled the apple and sliced it like that. What I'm going to do is take that and slice it in half over there. Let's get this out of the way. Okay. And now I've melted half a cup of butter here, and what I'm going to do is pour half of the butter into this dish, over here. Just the other half is going to go into the kugel itself. Okay, and then I'm going to sprinkle on it half a cup of brown sugar, approximately. A lot of cooking is approximately. When I bake cakes, I am down to the last gram, but a lot of other cooking can be. There we go. And we kind of spread that a little bit. And what I'm going to do now is take these apples and put them just like that, upside down around the edge of the dish. So here are the other ones that I had done earlier so that you didn't have to watch me doing 8 apples. Although I'm sure you would have loved it. There we go. And there, and there. Pop another one there, and yeah. So that is the dish. So that is now ready and waiting. I'm going to set it aside over there, and we'll get rid of this. Now, the filling for the kugel, we start with 3 cups of sour cream. Again, you can use low fat if you want. You can use lactose free if you want, if you need that, and if you're able to get it. Okay. We have 1 cup of cottage cheese. Here we go. That also, you can use low fat or lactose free if you can get it. A 1/4 cup of milk. There we go. A 1/2 cup of sugar. The rest of the melted butter. And a teaspoon of vanilla. Now, I make my own vanilla, but you can use any kind of vanilla. I just happen to make it. I take vanilla beans, cut them up, and pour vodka over. And then you put it in a dark cupboard and forget about it for a while, months. And when you, I wish you could smell this. It's absolutely divine. Yeah. And we need 5 eggs. So just to check the egg. Yep, it's good. I have checked all the others. So you just beat those up a little before you put them in. And I'm going to turn around for 1 second just to check with them. I'm going to put it onto slightly higher heat. There we go. They are doing beautifully. So in go the eggs, and let's just mix all that up with a whisk. So why do we eat dairy on Shavuot? To me, I'd always just, we eat dairy on Shavuot. So I decided to go and read up a little more about it. I'm actually, as you know, I'm not a rabbi, and I'm going to leave the discussion to our rabbis. But there are a couple of reasons that I read. The one that I like the most is that the word for milk, chalav, has a numerical value of 40. The chet is 8, the lamed is 30, and the bet is 2. Moses was on Mount Sinai for 40 days to get the Torah, and also the Torah has been likened to nourishing milk. So that's kind of the one that I like the best. One of the other reasons that I read was now that the children of Israel had the commandment to keep kosher, they hadn't yet had the time to do proper kosher slaughtering. So they didn't eat meat, they ate dairy. There are a couple of others which I'll share with you in a little while. That, and this I'm going to keep. These are sandwich, and this. Okay, let's take a look at the noodles. They are done. So you can see it just takes about 8 minutes or so. Here they're looking beautiful in the pot. And what I'm going to do is drain them in a colander right here in the sink. Oh, it's steamy. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to run a little cold water over them, just so that I'm not putting boiling hot noodles into the egg mix, because I don't want to cook it right away. So, well, just let that drain a little bit. Just while that's draining, just some other reasons that I read why we eat dairy, that on Shavuot, a 2-loaf offering was brought to the temple. So to commemorate this, we eat 2 meals, so first a dairy one and then a meat one. And we now have noodles that are ready to go into our egg and sour cream mix. And there we have a spoon and stir this up like that. See how beautiful and luscious this looks. And what I'm going to do also now is I've got a half a cup of sultanas, golden raisins for you Americans, and I'm going to mix those in. You don't have to. If you prefer to mix something else in, you can. If you want to use regular raisins, if you want to use cranberries, dried cranberries, or you could just leave it out altogether if you don't want to put any fruit into it. So here we go. I have to taste it. I just have to. Yum. Okay. Now what we have to do is spoon this very carefully over the apples so that you don't spoil the design, the apple design in there. So I'm going to use this measuring cup and very gently spoon it over. And there we go. This is going to be baked, and I'm going to double check that so I don't tell you wrong. In Australian centigrade, 180-degree oven. That is not fan forced. If you're going to do fan forced, 160, but otherwise 180 degrees, 350 in the States for about an hour. If you're not going to do it this way, if you're going to do it in a rectangular dish, then make some cinnamon and sugar and sprinkle that over. I don't want to overfill it, So I'm going to leave it right there, and I'll be able to bake that as a little extra treat for Jeffrey here. Here we go. Doesn't he get the big ones? Okay, so this is going to go into the oven. So you could open the oven. Here we go. Okay, 1 hour. Let me just wipe here. By some miracle, we just happen to have one ready. And this is how it turns out. What I did was, once it was turned out, I let it cool, I turned it out of the dish, and then I just brushed it with I melted some jam, not apricot jam, marmalade. Some marmalade, strained it, and brushed it over just to give it a nice shine. So, for tasting, I have a knife here, and a fork. Here we go. Now, the good thing about this dish and about the next one that I'm going to do is it's perfect at room temperature. I love to do foods that you can do ahead of time so that you're not rushing around like a crazy thing when your guests are coming. And this eats perfectly well at room temperature, or you can serve it warm if you like. It's up to you. But here we go.
Jeffrey is very excited.
No way to describe the decision of it. Such a decision. I can assure you I'll be having more than just this one piece. This one piece is just a joke. No. Good. Absolutely marvelous.
Wonderful. 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 Okay. Right. Are there any questions about the cooking?
It says that this dish also freezes very well.
It freezes very, yes. So you can even do it ahead of time and freeze it. Yes, and I have definitely frozen it for sure, for absolute sure. So.
Somebody called Debbie says, Ina and Jeffrey, watch out, you've got competition.
That's lovely. Thanks, David. Okay. So now, moving on to the last dish, and we are going to do a smoked salmon cheesecake. Now, what I use for this is a okay, and I'm going to melt some butter as well for this because I need to mix up a crust. So this is a savory cheesecake. And what I do is I do it in a springform pan. And what I like to do with a springform is to line it with some baking paper. I separate the pan, put the paper down there, put the top on, and lock it in place. And there it's beautifully lined, nice and flat. And again, give it a bit of a spritz with some baking spray, and there we are. Now, one of the things that you need to do starting ahead of time with this, the first thing you have to remember is to take your cream cheese out of the fridge well ahead of time because it needs to be at room temperature. But we'll get to the cream cheese in just a minute. The other thing you need to do, and I have done it, oops, I have The butter just popped over my entire microwave. Never mind. Is you need to brown an onion. You need to chop it up very finely. The word Ruthie used when she gave me the recipe was minced it. So I chop it very finely and you brown it in some butter. So I did that ahead of time, but I just wanted to show you this fun way that I have for chopping an onion. My daughter Lauren here, you may not know this about her, but Lauren is a Tupperware fanatic.
Addict might be the word that we're looking at.
And one day I was at her place and here she was using this gizmo for chopping something, and she told me it is made by Tupperware. Well, this is the most incredible thing. You take, I'll just do half of this onion because it's very big. So you take your onion, or you can do garlic in it, or you can do herbs in it, or you can do nuts in it. You can do anything, and they actually make it in a bigger size as well, but I like this little one. And put about that much in, I would say, and put the lid on and hold it in this hand and open it up, and you have chopped onions. It's absolutely amazing.
And no tears.
And no tears. That's the other thing. There are no tears. So that was just, and I don't sell Tupperware. I have nothing to do with Tupperware. It's just a thing that I love to do. So we'll set that aside. So now the original recipe, as I was given it, called for Gruyere cheese in the base with breadcrumbs, and unfortunately, I could not get kosher Gruyere cheese in Sydney. Apparently, Prince Kids detailed it for Pesach, but they don't have it. They don't have it now. So I've had to change the recipe up a little. So these are my own breadcrumbs that I make. If by any chance I should have any leftover challah, which doesn't happen too often, I toast it in the oven, slice it, toast it, and then just whiz it up in the food processor. And I have beautiful challah breadcrumbs, and I'm going to add the butter. And yeah, a lot of my butter went crazy in the microwave. I think I'm going to have to add a little bit. You see, this is yeah, a little bit of olive oil now. So what I'm going to do is just add a little bit of olive oil just to moisten it. And
Who gets to clean your microwave after this?
Jeffrey! As Jeffrey does, so I shouldn't mind. Okay, so you can see the crumbs here are moist, and they'll be able to sit in there, and we'll just spread them out and that. And this should sit in the fridge while you're doing the rest of your preparation so that it can firm up a little. Jeffrey, would you mind popping that in the fridge? Thank you. I'm going to wash my hands. Now, here we go. This recipe I do in my KitchenAid. If you want to do it in a food processor, that's fine. If you have a handheld mixer that you want to do it in, that's fine too. So what I use is a kilo of Philadelphia cream cheese. This also comes in lactose free, by the way. And this has been sitting out since very early this morning, so it's at room temperature. And I already have 3. These are 250 gram blocks. So I already have 3 of them in there. And in goes the 4. And what you do is you beat those up. Now I have this wonderful beater blade, which, you know, you're supposed to scrape. You beat and then you scrape. This one has a built-in scraper, which is absolutely fantastic. and it makes mixing in your KitchenAid so much easier. And here we go. We'll just mix that up, and you can see how, because it's nice and at room temperature, it gets very nice and creamy. Let that go for just a little bit. Okay, so now we have 4 eggs, and these have all been checked, and I'm just going to, I read somewhere in one of my cookbooks that it's always better to beat up an egg slightly before you add it to any recipe instead of adding it whole. And I have found that that works really well. So in that goes. We have 2/3 of a cup of cream. This part of this, 1/3 of that cup is replacing the Gruyere cheese that you couldn't use. And then also for some flavor, instead of Gruyere, I'm going to add a teaspoon of mustard powder. In we go. Wasn't quite a full teaspoon there. We go. And a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And let's get that going. Oh, oh, no, there you go. Just be careful. Oh boy, good thing I'm not on ABC News, right? Okay. All right. I was trying to make it go a little faster, but I think it will be okay. Yeah, yeah. Okay. What I'm going to do, and not everybody likes.
I have a question for you. Sharon,
Young lady to my left.
Sharon, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
And the question is, have you ever used a food processor to beat the cream cheese?
Yes, yes, I have, and you can absolutely. It works just fine, and it probably, in retrospect, might have been easier today than getting myself sprayed. Now we're also going to add in the onions that we browned earlier. So I popped in there a little bit of dill. We're going to add those beautiful brown onions. They smell absolutely wonderful. And there we go. And we'll just give that a bit of a mix. Now, 250 grams of, can you see me? 250 grams of smoked salmon goes in here next, and that is cut up in coarsely, so about that size, and just oh.
I'll get it back.
The question, can you use Parmesan cheese? I have not, but I'm sure you can. I don't see why not. You could probably use a cheddar as well. I think a cheese that has, you know, quite a pungent flavor. So now I have the smoked salmon in there, and mix that up. You don't want to overmix it because you want it to stay sort of chunky. And now, if you could please get the pan out of the fridge and clean up the mess. Here we go. And we are going to put our cheese mix here into the pan. And I'm sorry, guys, I have to do this. Absolutely amazing.
Ruth says that she thinks Parmesan is an excellent idea.
Oh, great. Thanks, Ruthie. Well,
You leave some.
you know, whenever I watch these cooking shows, I get really upset when they leave half the stuff in the bowl because they don't want to take too much time with all the scraping and scraping. But yeah, okay. So there is a little bit left on the beaters, and I will leave it on there if anybody wants to lick the beaters. So here we go. Now, this is not it yet. You have to bake this in a bain-marie, a water bath. So this is what I do. This roasting pan, which I have half filled with water. Now, because I'm using a springform pan, I don't want to put it directly in the water because springforms are not completely watertight. So I take tin foil, put it down, that, bring the foil up. There we go. Okay, and now lower that into the water, and the water should come about halfway up your pan, which I can see it's doing right now. This goes into the oven, which is at 160 in centigrade, 325 if you're in Fahrenheit. So it's a slower oven and because it's got the water bath, an hour and 20 minutes. When that's done, you open the oven slightly, but you leave it all in there for another hour. And then after that, you can take it out. Now, I'm not going to keep you here chatting with me for the next 2 hours and 20 minutes. So hold on 1 second. And into the oven. That goes. Beautiful. And I just happen to have one done right there, which I made yesterday. Look at this. Jeffrey's stay there salivating. So I'm going to cut into it. And there we go. And I'm going to cut a second piece here for Lauren because this one that I made yesterday was gluten-free and with lactose-free ingredients. So she's done such an amazing job of being my tech support today. So that is hers.
Because I get to eat a piece of cake.
And Sharon, what did you use for the breadcrumbs for your gluten-free? Did you just...
I substituted. I mixed polentas, half polenta and half gluten-free flour. And then with, you know, did the thing with the butter.
So Jeffrey, would you...